International Women's Day and National Action Plan for Western Division Informal Women's Consultation that will be co-facilitated by Divorce Equality Fiji Disabled People's Federation, and Ministry of Women, Children, Poverty and Affiliation. Just before we get into our program, to take us through agenda, can I ask the governing people to come up now and do the task? Welcome to the women. Just before, for us, it's very important that we acknowledge the woman. So if you see like, oh, this listing is getting too long, but it's important that we acknowledge everyone because you take your time out from your busy life to come and be with us in this room. So it's a great honor to welcome the women with disability from the Fiji Disabled People Federation, all the LGBTQI communities you're in the room today. Yes, we rock. Welcome. Women from rural villages, women from rural settlements, all the women that is here representing the Song of Akamaramek Toke, women living in the state housing, from hard housing, sex workers, women in practitioners work, car wash, catering, also widows, women survivors of domestic violence. You're welcome this morning. Women that are market vendors, fisheries, and farmers. You're welcome. Also welcome, not forgetting the young women, older women, families, women's human rights defenders and climate justice defenders that has been holding the front line for climate change work, and also all the homeless and street-present women that are with us this morning. So with those who are welcome, we welcome you today, and we hope that you will feel like this is also your space. And the focus for today is going to be a woman's full and effective participation in decision-making and public living. It's not just about naming that as a theme, but also how can we make that real, right? So the conversation about today will be on that, and also linking that to preventing of violence against women. No woman should be expected to go and participate fully in society when they're also going through violence. So we're going to be doing a lot of unpacking of this kind of conversation. So without further ado, I will now give it up to Nolina Mulivo, who is an executive director for Divorce Equality Fiji, has been part of the movement for more than 30 years. She will be moderating the panel where you'll be hearing directly from these grassroots women leaders who are actually the front line of social work in their communities. So I will give it up to Nolina Mulivo, and then she will take us through.
Good morning, everybody. I'd really like to welcome the Minister. Thank you for being with us. It actually, I've had a lot of people talking to me in the last few days about, just the wonderful participation that the Ministry for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation are really working with us very closely on all kinds of issues around the country. So on International Women's Day, we've got a really rich speakers panel, and all of these amazing women and people are women organizers from here in the Western Division, and also who are linked in and connected to national, regional and global organizers. The two issues that we really wanted to link today is women and really effective participation in all areas of life, but particularly in public life, on decision making, and then linking that to making sure that we're doing the work on eliminating all forms of violence against women and girls. So that's our focus for this panel today.
To everyone, good to have you, Honorable Minister, and acknowledging our disability friends that are here, our mothers. A very good morning and a happy International Women's Day to all of us. I'm Bonita Ngio, and I come from here, the Western Division. I hail from the province of Ra, the King of Makorintungu, and Evasu Waturu Langatananti. I'm a resource mobilizer for the minority organizations here in the West. And I look after the sex workers and LGBT community here in Nendilotoka and Patrona Organization, Pacific Rebels Advocacy Network. And in regards to violence against sex workers, against LGBT, I think we've come to a stage where we think it's normal now, because it's something that we go through every day, and it builds the personality that who we are today. And one of the steps that we have taken as an organization or as a community that's being deprived from services and assistance was to initiate some of the things our own way. So the inception of the Dollar Money Home in Tomuka was a creation of a safe space, a house that a friend of ours, Edwina, she's sitting at the back and I acknowledge her here. She bought a piece of land and we built a house, and now it's homing the homeless, the sex workers here in Lautoka. But I think more we can do, and I really appreciate the presence of the minister here and the women that are here, that we can always work together and address this together, and no one should be left alone. I think our homeless, our sex workers, community, our LGBT that have been pushed from homes into the street and have created this family maybe deserve some kind of assistance to Vinanduriki.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Roberta Chen from the Fiji Disabled People's Association. For us disabled women, we are shy and we don't go out much, but because of our Talona session and we have workshops and outreach programs, that we come out of our closet and have the space to voice out our voices so that we can be heard. If we don't be heard, then we cannot progress in society today. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Roberta. And we'll move to Savannah Devi. Thank you for joining us, Savannah. Thank you.
Good morning, all, and Honorable Minister, and my dear friends. I came from Reykjavik, and I'm thanking you all for this opportunity and talking. And Reykjavik is a very small area where we don't have much things for ladies there. Our women, they're all in a back way. And so for us, when there's a flood, the market vendors, when you go in the market, you see all the ladies. Little bit male there. So the women are running their houses. And because of the FSC mill closing there, we don't have jobs for the men. All ladies are working. Somehow or the other, they are running the house, and it's very hard. And it's very hard for the young girls to move around. Some of them going to school, it's very hard because students from Koro, they have to come early in the morning. Some of them, they leave their house at 5 o'clock in the morning. So imagine 6 o'clock they're catching the bus coming to town area for the education. So I would like more education to be given to Reykjavik interior ones.
My name is Philomena O'Neill. I'm the president of the Lautoka Market Vendors Association. Being a market vendor and a leader is truly an achievement. But sitting here and participating and sharing our views with other women of various organizations at this level is an honor. Leading a group of ladies at this grassroots level is an experience that has taught me many lessons. I have categorized what I'm going to discuss this morning. One is what we have lacked throughout the years. Women's organizations at grassroots level are being not recognized because of their status in their society. For me, I am looking after 380 members, majority of which are rural and outer island women, which converts to the market for 3 days in a week. So by that, you should know, leaving home on early Saturday morning at 2 a.m. and reaching home on Sunday morning at 3 a.m. With your shopping, after you're selling, no rest. That is an experience for me that for the last 3 years I'm sitting here as their president. There is a gap formed here where women are not recognized, where they are inaccessible to transportation because of road. But yet, because of this gap widens because of the many restrictions and policies that have limited this organization to excel further. We can bridge this gap and no one is left behind. Second, we have to be more practical, involving many women organizations in such events such as this. We don't need to wait for International Women's Day. We don't need to wait for International Rural Women's Day celebration. It has to be consistent. In that way, our voice can be heard. In that way, we can combat violence against women. In that way, we can promote gender equality. Because for us, Fijians, majority of us are brought up in villages, in a society, when there's awareness program or seminars, when it lapses for 2 months, we tend to forget about it. That morale of moving forward is lost. Okay, when it comes again, we said, oh, it's a waste of time. That's the attitude that we have, and that's reality. The other one is that I want to bring over here is if we can have the relevant authorities, something in place to cover assistance for women in terms of compatibility in government system, governance systems. Okay, because if this is done, then women will not be frightened to move forward. Sometimes we tend to lose faith in our leaders. Okay, because of whatever we think of weaknesses that we have. But then we have to have something in place to cover all this, that they are safeguarded, that they can move up, they can voice their concerns, and that they are not frightened. Women are resilient to many and any situations, be it climate change, natural disaster, broken marriage, you name it. Because we are perfectly handmade. Instill with that strength, and that's why we are resilient. We can stop domestic violence. We can participate and become great leaders of this country. Our voice can be heard. Our work can be recognized. Only if we identify where we are lacking, be more practical in our approach, and do many policies and regulations do away with this, that we can excel freely forward. Because sometimes, in example, if there is assistance coming after natural disaster, we have to fill forms. I have my 3 members sitting there, members of my executive. I have to stand for 2 straight weeks filling form assistance from my vendors, from the islands and the rural. It's not easy. So these things are some of the things that are restricting us from moving forward. The very little fact that's avoiding women and their voice to be heard. With this contribution, once again, thank you to DIVA for bringing us forward and making us be more practical in this approach by voicing this in this arena. And happy International Women's Day to everyone.
Each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it, possibly without claiming it, she stands up for all women, by Maya Angelou. Good morning, everyone. Bulvinaka, Madam Honorable Minister. My name is Vika Kalkalo Okado, as known by my colleagues and friends. I work for DIVA as a management collective member, also focal point for Women Builders Group, who works on social, ecological, and climate justice, creating material social change for all women. Today marks International Women's Day, a day to remember the lives of grassroots women and women with all diversities who have fought and paved the way so that all women can be recognized, acknowledged, and valued for who they are. As a Itauke LGBT woman from a grassroots background, I could say I didn't have the luxury to access services as hetero people does. Being discriminated, stigmatized, belittled, and unfairly treated because of my sexuality is why I am here today and what I have become. To empower my fellow LGBT sisters and brothers, my sister-in-laws, aunties, young and older women in all their diversities. Not a single woman can walk through society and in this world without being discriminated, abused and violated within their own homes or outside their homes. Intimate partner violence in the mainstream communities and LGBT communities, gender-based violence is exponentially increasing every day. That's why it took DIVA 4 years to work on this research. This work takes time, and it takes everyone. We have 9 LBT hubs and Women Defender Common networks around the country. Women need safe spaces to organize, to regroup, to plan, and move forward. It's not easy doing this work, even at the same time we carry our own pain. For a small Pacific Island state like our own, to have the highest rates of violence against women and girls and double the rate for LGBT communities, then something is terribly wrong. To have a national action plan on preventing violence against women and girls, this is the first step the government of the day is taking in creating structural change for all women. Material change starts with us. Women's participation is very effective but not taken seriously. If women can make better decisions at home, they also need to be recognized, acknowledged, supported, and valued when making decisions in public life. We can look after our family well if our bodies are violated. We can access services if we are discriminated and stigmatized. We can move forward if we ourselves as women being the handmaiden in patriarchy. We need to break these barriers, need to stand up and keep fighting. Fight the unjust systems harder, and also building beloved communities. Building beloved communities in our very homes, in villages, in communities and institutions. Love our mothers for their paid and unpaid care work. Our LGBTQ sisters and brothers, sisters-in-law who are married to our families and villages, and women in single-headed households. Love beyond ethnicity, love beyond age, love beyond religion, love beyond status, love beyond abilities and disabilities, even love beyond sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. No one is free until all are free. Vinaka.
International Women's Day comes at a difficult time for the world and for gender equality this year. Yet, it is also a time to fight for transformative change. Millions of women and girls and their communities face extraordinary hardships in their economies, in their social life, and public health. This is despite the positive progress made in the previous decades on issues such as girls' education, the elimination of discriminatory laws, targeted health interventions that reduce maternal deaths, and the greater engagement of youth in gender equality advocacy. We salute women and young people for the continuous drive for gender equality and human rights for the last 25 years since the adoption of the Beijing Declaration for Action.
The Executive Director, Diverse Voices in Action for Equality, DIVA Fiji, Ms. Nolene Nambulivo. Representatives of DIVA for Equality, communities and networks. I'd also like to acknowledge representatives from the Fiji Disabled People's Federation that are here today, members of civil society, women leaders and representatives from local communities, members of the National Action Plan Secretariat, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very blessed to join you all on the occasion of International Women's Day, marked today around the world, 8th of March. Today is indeed a perfect opportunity to renew our pledges to recognize and support the crucial roles that women and girls play in our societies, that each of you play in our societies, to celebrate the change that have been achieved and push for the change that is yet to come. After the turmoil of 2020, it feels particularly important to stand together. I must start by thanking DIVA for Equality for the invitation to be with you here this morning. The core work for DIVA for Equality is to assist in creating safe, creative, and transformative local-led spaces where diverse women and their communities come together to strategically work for social, economic, ecological, and climate justice. And today is a perfect example of that. This is crucial right now to support authentic, effective, and sustainable local responses, including by Fijian and Pacific women activists at grassroots level. I'm so glad that we could partner in this instance with DIVA in rolling out the national consultations on the Fiji National Action Plan to prevent violence against all women and girls, which was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in November 2020. I'd also like to acknowledge the role that the Fiji Disabled Persons Federation is playing in relation to this consultation today. Fiji is the first Pacific Island country to start developing a national action plan to prevent violence against all women and girls, and is one of the only 2 countries globally along Australia. This is historic for our humble Pacific Island nation. I truly believe that with the whole of population, whole of government, evidence-based, inclusive, and funded national action plan, we will be better placed than ever before to prevent violence against all women and girls in Fiji. Nationwide consultations and dialogue with Fijian women, men, girls, and boys, stakeholders from key settings and sectors and communities will be undertaken in 2021 to inform the development of the National Action Plan. The Honorable Prime Minister highlighted in his remarks at the launch of the national consultations, and I quote, "In order to solve a national problem, there must firstly be a shared understanding among us Fijians as to why violence against women and girls happens in Fiji, its root causes and contributing factors through a national talanoa, which is informed by the experience, knowledge, and expertise of individuals, leaders, and organizations across diverse communities. We shall reflect on, and we can all do through our words and actions. We need to transform the balance of decision-making power between men and women. We need to change the way we raise our sons and daughters. We need to shift the way we think about women's and men's roles. This social transformation is an ambitious goal, and this is at the heart of the Fijian government's National Action Plan to prevent violence against all women and girls," unquote. We shall all do what we can to be part of the answer and create a society in which no woman and girl will ever live in fear of violence, and every girl will grow up knowing she is safe and that she is equal. That is the aim, and I look forward with strong commitment to working with you all to achieve this. And I'm hopeful and I'm dedicated. I'm also very optimistic that together we can stop violence against all women and girls before it starts. And in fact, every step taken towards the end of violence against women and girls and the development of our women and making equal rights real, that would be the truest form of celebration for International Women's Day. And with those words, I wish each and every one of you a very happy International Women's Day, and I invite you to stand with me and do this together. The campaign theme for International Women's Day this year is #Choose to Challenge. Choose to challenge. Choose to challenge. Vinaka.